Welcome to the second tutorial on Android Runner. To review, in the previous video I introduced the framework, its capabilities, what profilers are, what Android Debug Bridge is, and some general motivation as to why it's important to understand the impact of software on hardware. In this video we'll do a deep dive into Android Debug Bridge, or ADB for short. We'll discuss what the tool is, I'll show you how to use it, and we'll walk through some use case examples of installing, running, and uninstalling an application, and I'll also show you two important utilities such as logcat and dumpsys. We'll conclude the video with some troubleshooting tips and some helpful links. I stated in the last video that the framework uses ADB a lot behind the scenes. While you won't need to become a knowledge matter expert, it's recommended that you get somewhat comfortable with using the tool directly. So what is ADB? It is a command line tool that gives you control over an Android device over USB or a Wi-Fi connection, and it's used a lot by Android developers. It's made up of a client and a server on the host machine and a daemon on the Android device or devices. As the name suggests, this tool is the bridge between the host machine and the Android device or devices. Next, we're going to configure your device to use ADB and install it locally on your development machine. The first step is to enable developer options on your Android device. You'll need to go into the device's settings and find the field called build number, and then tap on that field several times. I'll provide a link at the end of the video where you can find instructions for your particular version of Android, because not all Android devices are the same. Once developer options is enabled, click on it and scroll down until you found the USB debugging section, and then enable. Now that it is enabled on your device, the next step is to install the ADB tool locally on your development machine. You want to use this command to install Android Tools ADB. It's already installed locally on my machine. Once it finishes installing, type in ADB into the terminal, and you should see a bunch of different options and commands. Now the next step is to establish a connection with your development machine and with your Android device. This can be done with first plugging in a USB cable into your development machine. After that, type in ADB devices to start the client. It should say that it has started successfully. Next, connect your Android device to the USB cable. Then type in ADB devices. You should see a unique ID followed by device. It's also possible to connect to the Android device over the Wi-Fi connection, so make sure that the Android device is connected to the local area network. It's also important to note that in order to connect over Wi-Fi, non-rooted devices must first connect over a USB connection to ADB. If it's a rooted device, you don't need to make this first step. It doesn't matter. So let's just assume that it's a non-rooted device, it's a normal device. So first connect over ADB through USB, then type in ADB TCP IP 5555 Then you can find your device's IP address with this command. Here's the IP address. Next, type in ADB connect to that IP address. So you can see it connected. Type in ADB devices again. There are now two devices. One is the USB connection. The other one is the Wi-Fi connection. So we don't want the USB connection anymore. So we can unplug the USB from the device. To confirm the Wi-Fi connection has persisted, type in ADB devices again. There we go. One thing to note about a Wi-Fi connection over ADB, it's a little less stable than a connection over USB, but it can be helpful to make this Wi-Fi connection in some circumstances. Now to terminate the ADB server, type in ADB kill server. Alright, next we're going to go through some use cases. Start up the emulator. So the first thing that we're going to do is type in ADB again into the terminal. We've already seen this before, but again, it just shows you how many options and commands are at your disposal here. And we're only going to illustrate a few of them. The first one is producing a list of the applications that are installed on your Android device. And that is ADB shell pm list packages. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to install an application onto the device. And this particular application is a software profiler I mentioned in the last video called Trepin. As you can see here, there's an APK file, and it's as easy as typing in ADB install followed by the APK file name. Now, let's produce a list of the installed packages on the device. Now you can see here, Trepin was successfully installed. Now let's run it. To do that, we're going to type in ADB shell monkey-p. Remove the APK at the end. 1. So you can see here on the right, it loaded. So it's running. If we wanted to stop it, type in ADB shell am force stop. Forgot the application name. Okay. Now let's uninstall it. Produce the list of the packages installed, and as you can see, it's no longer down here. It also said success at the very top too. So next, we're going to talk about some of the utilities called logcat and dumpsys. Both are used by a couple of different profilers in the framework. So logcat mainly deals with application logs. And let's run an example here. We can just type in ADB logcat. So just a stream of information. A lot of it is not going to be useful for your particular use case. So what you can do is you can type in ADB logcat-E, followed by, if we wanted to only print out the lines for the micro detection worker, we can just type in micro detection worker. Okay, let's try micro detector. Yeah. So it prints out only the lines with micro detector in it. And you can also use regular expressions for this as well. So it's a lot of different options, and it's pretty powerful. So now let's move on to dumpsys. This is just a bunch of system logs regarding memory, CPU, speakers, battery, all that kind of good stuff. And it's also used by a couple of different profilers. So what you can do is see exactly what system logs you can obtain by typing in ADB shell dumpsys-L. Okay, so we have Wi-Fi, USB, network statistics, location, CPU info, battery information. So it's going to type in one of these. So ADB shell dumpsys CPU info. So there you go. It's outputted a bunch of CPU information. Alright, so it's likely that you're going to experience some issues with ADB when you first start. There are two fixes that I recommend. The first is just toggling USB debugging on your phone on and off. If that doesn't work, restart the Android phone. And here's some useful links if you want to dive a little deeper. In the next video, I will talk about the framework's configuration file, which is where you can customize your experiment to match your needs. I'll also walk you through the list of options you can set for your own experiments.